The Awakening. Commander Maya Chen rubbed her temples as she stared out the viewport of Nexus Station, the swirling blue-green atmosphere of the gas giant Theta Persei IV filling the frame. Another day, another diplomatic headache. As Earth's representative to the Galactic Concordat, she spent most of her time smoothing ruffled feathers, or scales, tentacles, or whatever appendages the particular species possessed. Commander Chen, your presence is requested in Laboratory Delta. Urgently. The Station A's voice interrupted her moment of peace. Maya sighed. What is it this time, Aide? Chief Xenorchaeologist Dr. Valak reports they've unsealed the artifact recovered from the derelict precursor vessel. This got her attention. 3 weeks ago, a joint Terran-Ravani expedition had discovered a ghost ship drifting in the void between systems. The vessel predated all known civilizations, estimated to be at least 1 million years old. Everything recovered had been brought to Nexus Station for study. Tell them I'm on my way. The laboratory was in chaos when she arrived. Representatives from 7 different species crowded around a central containment field, voices raised in a cacophony of translator-mediated arguments. Above the din, she recognized the resonant bass tones of Ambassador Kulvak, the massive Draconid representative whose scaled body dwarfed most humans. This is madness, Kulvak was saying, tail lashing dangerously close to a rack of delicate equipment. That artifact must be locked away immediately. Dr. Valak, a willowy Ravani with pale blue skin and 4 arms, was trying to maintain order. Please, everyone. This is a scientific facility, not a debate chamber. Maya cleared her throat, and the room fell silent. The small gold pins on her uniform collar, Earth's emblem alongside the spiral of the Concordat, carried weight here. Would someone care to explain what's happening? She asked, stepping forward. The crowd parted, revealing a hovering containment field. Inside was what appeared to be a humanoid suit of armor, though like nothing Maya had ever seen. The material shifted between metallic and crystalline, with intricate patterns etched across its surface that seemed to change whenever she looked away. It was simultaneously beautiful and unsettling. Dr. Valak gestured with 2 of her 4 arms. Commander, we've confirmed this is a predecessor combat suit, the only intact specimen ever discovered. The predecessors, a mysterious species that had apparently dominated the galaxy long before any current civilization had achieved spaceflight. Little was known about them except that they had vanished abruptly, leaving behind ruins and artifacts of incredible technological sophistication. I see. Maya stepped closer, studying the suit. And the cause of all this commotion? Ambassador Kulvak rumbled forward. That thing has killed dozens across multiple species. Every attempt to study it directly has resulted in death. Exaggeration, chirped scientist delegate Pick-Tick, the insectoid Jurix representative, mandibles clicking in agitation. Only 17 confirmed fatalities, spread across 9 species. Hardly statistically significant. I don't find death statistics comforting regardless of the sample size, Maya said dryly. Dr. Valak, what exactly happens when someone interacts with it? The Mravani scientist manipulated a console with her lower set of arms while gesturing with her upper ones. According to records, the suit appears to attempt some kind of neural interface with the subject. All previous subjects experienced catastrophic neural feedback, resulting in brain death within seconds. Yet you've removed it from deep storage. Why? Because, Dr. Valak said, eyes brightening with excitement, our preliminary scans show it's activating on its own. It's never done that before. As if responding to the words, the patterns on the suit pulsed briefly with a soft blue light. Several of the aliens backed away hastily. We need to understand what's happening before we decide next steps, Maya said, trying to diffuse the tension. What's changed? Why would it activate now after being dormant for so long? Pick-Tick stepped forward, compound eyes reflecting the light from the containment field. Observation. Activation began precisely when human researchers entered the storage vault. All eyes turned to Maya. She felt a prickle of unease. Are you suggesting it's responding to humans specifically? That's impossible. Humans weren't even a species when this was created. Yet the correlation exists. Pictic insisted. No activation for 300 cycles across multiple research facilities. Humans join archaeological team. Activation begins within days. Ambassador Kolvak's scales darkened, a sign of suspicion among draconids. Perhaps your species has encountered such technology before and failed to disclose it to the Concordat. That's absurd, Maya said, bristling at the accusation. Earth has been transparent about all precursor findings since joining the Concordat. The argument might have escalated, but at that moment, the lights throughout the laboratory flickered. The containment field wavered. Power fluctuation. Dr. Valak called out, her 4 arms moving rapidly over the controls. Stabilizing field. The suit within the containment field pulsed brighter, the patterns across its surface flowing like liquid light. Something was happening, and Maya's instincts screamed danger. Evacuate the lab, she ordered. Now. Most of the delegates didn't need to be told twice. As they rushed toward the exit, Maya moved in the opposite direction, toward Dr. Valak, who was still struggling with the controls. Doctor, we need tow. The containment field collapsed completely. The suit hung suspended in the air for a moment, as if considering its options. Then, faster than Maya could react, it shot toward her. She barely had time to raise her arms defensively before the suit made contact. Instead of hitting her like a solid object, it seemed to flow around her. The material was cool against her skin, then warm. Then she couldn't feel it at all as it merged with her on some level she couldn't comprehend. Maya had expected pain, perhaps the neural feedback that had killed others. Instead, there was a profound sense of rightness, as if finding something she hadn't known was missing. The world around her faded, replaced by a void filled with points of light. Neural pattern analysis complete. Compatibility confirmed. Welcome, inheritor. The voice wasn't audible. She felt it inside her mind. Neither male nor female, neither young nor old. What are you? Maya thought, not knowing if the entity could hear her. I am Sentinel Interface Unit Designate Atlas, bonded to Precursor Combat System Mark Levi. You are the first compatible neural pattern detected in 1,247,319 standard cycles. Compatible. Why me? Why humans? Query requires extensive historical context. Simplifying. The creators seeded potential compatibility across multiple species during their withdrawal from this galaxy. Your species carries the neurological markers that allow interface without synaptic degradation. Before Maya could process this information, the void receded. The lab came back into focus with startling clarity. Except everything seemed different. She could see in spectrums beyond visible light, could sense the electromagnetic fields generated by the equipment, could even perceive the neural activity of the few beings still in the room. Dr. Valak and 2 security officers were backed against the far wall, staring at her with expressions of terror. Maya looked down at herself and understood why. The suit had completely enveloped her body. No longer shifting and fluid, it had solidified into a form-fitting armor that somehow enhanced her natural shape while making her look utterly inhuman. The surface gleamed with the same flowing patterns, now pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. Commander Chen. Dr. Valak's voice trembled. Are you still you? Maya tried to respond, but her voice emerged with a harmonic resonance that made the instruments in the room vibrate sympathetically. I'm fine, she managed, focusing on speaking normally. I'm still me. The laboratory doors slid open, and a security team rushed in, weapons drawn. Behind them came Ambassador Kolvak and several other Concordat representatives. Restrain her immediately. The Draconid ambassador ordered. The human has bonded with the weapon. Threat assessment activated. Defensive systems charging. No. Maya thought forcefully at Atlas. They're not enemies. Stand down. To her relief, She felt the combat systems powering down. The last thing she needed was to start an interspecies incident, or worse, a war. "Everyone stay calm," she said, raising her hand slowly. "I'm not a threat. The suit, it's communicating with me. It says I'm compatible." "Impossible," hissed a Sovreki diplomat, its tendrils writhing in agitation. "The predecessor artifacts reject all sentient contact." "Apparently not mine," Maya said, trying to project a confidence she didn't feel. "I think it was designed to work with something like human neural patterns." Ambassador Kovac stepped forward, massive frame tense with barely restrained aggression. "Commander Chen, if you maintain control of your faculties as you claim, you will remove that suit immediately and surrender it to Concordat custody." Maya reached for where she thought the helmet release might be, but found nothing. "Atlas, can you deactivate?" "Negative. First bonding protocol requires minimum integration period of 30 standard cycles before separation is possible. Premature separation would result in neural damage to the inheritor." She relayed this information, which did nothing to improve the diplomatic situation. "Convenient," Kovac grumbled dangerously. "A human acquires the most powerful weapon ever discovered, and suddenly it cannot be removed." "I didn't exactly plan this," Maya snapped, her patience wearing thin. "But according to Atlas, that's the suit's eye. This technology wasn't meant to be a weapon primarily. It's called a sentinel system." "Whatever its intended purpose," interrupted a new voice, "it is now a major security concern." Station Director Helix entered the laboratory, the artificial gravity adjusting automatically to accommodate his massive Jovian hover platform. As the highest authority on Nexus Station, his word was effectively law. "Commander Chen," the gas-based being addressed her, his translated voice precisely modulated. "While I do not doubt your integrity, this situation presents unprecedented dangers. Until we understand exactly what has happened, I must insist you remain in segregated quarters under observation." Maya wanted to argue but realized it was pointless. From their perspective, she had just bonded with an alien superweapon of unknown capabilities. "I understand, Director. I'll cooperate fully." "A wise decision," Helix said, manipulating the controls on his platform. "Security will escort you to." The station's alert system activated, sirens wailing throughout the laboratory. Aida's voice came over the comms. "Attention all personnel. Unidentified vessels approaching. Hostile intent detected. Defensive protocols activated." Director Helix's gaseous form swirled with concern. "Identity of the aggressors. Unknown, Director. No match in Concordat registry. 7 vessels, heavily armed. They've already disabled our outer sensor array and are jamming communications. Threat assessment, level Alpha. Combat systems fully online. Tactical options available." Maya felt something new, data flowing into her consciousness, showing her exactly what was happening outside the station. Somehow, the suit was tapping into the station's systems, giving her information directly. "They're here for the suit," she realized aloud. "For Atlas." "Preposterous," Ambassador Kovac declared. "No one outside this station knew we had unsealed the artifact." But Maya could see it clearly now. The attack pattern, the precision targeting of communications and sensors. These weren't random raiders. They knew exactly when the containment field failed. They've been waiting for this. Director Helix's platform hummed as he processed this information. "If you're correct, Commander, then we face a grave threat." Nexus Station's defenses were designed for deterrence, not full-scale warfare. The deck shuddered beneath them as something impacted the station's outer shields. "Their weapons are unlike anything in our database," Ida reported. "Shield failure estimated in 17 minutes." Maya felt a strange calm descend over her. The suit, Atlas, was feeding her tactical assessments, potential scenarios, survival probabilities. And none of them looked good unless. "I can help," she said, her voice steady. "Atlas has combat capabilities that might make a difference." "Absolutely not." Ambassador Kolvac roared, "We cannot trust you with that power." "With respect, Ambassador," Maya replied, "you may not have a choice." Before anyone could respond, the laboratory rocked with another impact, more violent than before. Equipment crashed to the floor. The lights flickered and died, replaced seconds later by the red glow of emergency lighting. "Direct hit on power distribution node 7, IDA announced. Shield integrity at 63% and falling." Director Helix's platform stabilized as he made his decision. "Commander Chen, what exactly are you proposing?" Maya felt Atlas responding to her thoughts, armor plates shifting subtly, systems humming with potential energy. "Let me get to an airlock. I can engage them directly, buy time for evacuation or reinforcement." "That's suicide," Dr. Valak protested. "Maybe for a normal human," Maya agreed. "But I'm not exactly normal anymore, am I?" Another impact rocked the station. The decision was made for them as the ceiling partially collapsed, blocking the main exit from the laboratory. Only the emergency airlock remained accessible. "Very well, Commander," Director Helix conceded. "But understand this. If you pose any threat to this station or its inhabitants, I will not hesitate to consider you hostile as well." Maya nodded, already moving toward the airlock. "Atlas, are you ready?" "All systems functional. Inheritor. Combat protocols engaged." As the airlock cycled, Maya took what might be her last look at the faces of the various species watching her. Fear, suspicion, and perhaps a glimmer of hope in their alien expressions. "Ida, open outer door on my mark." She took a deep breath. Mark. The void of space embraced her, and to her amazement, she felt nothing. No cold, no pressure loss, not even the need to breathe. Atlas had her completely protected as she pushed away from the station, propelled by some form of gravitic manipulation she didn't understand. Ahead, she could see the attacking vessels, sleek, black ships with organic curves that reminded her of deep-sea predators. Their weapons charged, preparing for another assault on the station's failing shields. Primary weapons charged. Targeting solutions available. Maya felt power gathering in her hands, a tingling sensation that built until it was almost unbearable. "Let's introduce ourselves, shall we?" Energy erupted from her outstretched palms, twin beams of coruscating light that connected with the nearest vessel. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ship's hull began to glow, systems overloading from within. Secondary explosions rippled along its length before it split apart in a silent flash. The remaining ships immediately adjusted their focus, weapon systems now targeting her instead of the station. Maya smiled grimly inside her helmet. "That's right. Come and get me." As energy blasts converged on her position, Atlas responded with a defensive field that deflected or absorbed the attacks. Maya rocketed toward the nearest ship, the void of space her battlefield. For the first time since the suit had bonded with her, she felt a surge of something beyond the analytical cool of Atlas, something terrifyingly human. Exhilaration. Reckoning. Space combat was nothing like the simulations Maya had run at the Academy. There was an eerie silence as energy weapons discharged, as ships maneuvered in deadly ballet, as explosions bloomed like silent flowers. Atlas amplified her natural reflexes to superhuman levels, allowing her to dodge incoming fire while launching counterattacks of devastating precision. 2 more enemy vessels erupted into debris fields. The remaining 4 adjusted their formation, becoming more cautious now that they understood the threat she posed. Maya used the brief respite to assess the situation. "Atlas, what can you tell me about these ships? Who are they?" Design architecture indicates void-born construction. Historical records show them as servants of the opposition during the Final War. The opposition. Final War. You mean whoever fought against your creators? Affirmative. The opposition sought to control rather than elevate developing species. The war ended with mutual extinction, though contingency protocols were enacted by both sides. That explained why the attackers had arrived so quickly after the suit's activation. They must have had monitoring systems in place, watching for any sign of predecessor technology awakening. A new energy signature bloomed on her tactical display. One of the remaining ships was charging a weapon far more powerful than anything they used so far. Warning: Omega-class disintegration beam detected. Direct impact exceeds defensive capabilities. So don't get hit. Got it. Maya accelerated, pushing the suit's propulsion system to its limits. The void blurred around her as she closed the distance to the charging vessel. Energy weapons tracked her approach, but Atlas predicted their firing solutions, allowing her to weave through the deadly lattice. The disintegration beam fired, a lance of sickly green energy that cut through space where she had been moments before. Maya reached the ship and placed her palm against its hull. Atlas knew what she wanted without explicit instructions, sending a pulse of energy through the contact point that overwhelmed the vessel's systems from within. As she pushed away from the dying ship, something slammed into her from behind. A direct hit from one of the other vessels. The impact sent her tumbling through space, systems briefly overloading with warning signals. Minor damage to peripheral systems. Recalibrating. The three remaining ships converged, sensing vulnerability. Maya stabilized herself, but not quickly enough to avoid another glancing hit that sent pain shooting through her left side, despite the suit's protection. Atlas, we need to end this quickly. She was still learning the suit's capabilities, fighting by instinct and the AI's guidance rather than experience. Against one ship, that might be enough. Against three coordinated attackers, the odds were shifting against her. Accessing tertiary weapon systems. Caution advised. Power requirements substantial. She felt new options appearing in her mind, weapons that made what she'd used so far seem like toys. One in particular stood out, a gravitational singularity generator. Essentially, a controlled black hole. That seems excessive. The Voidborn will call reinforcements. Time constraints necessitate decisive action. Maya hesitated only briefly. The station behind her housed thousands of beings from dozens of species. If these attackers broke through, do it. Power drained from other systems, concentrating into a sphere of distorted space between her hands. The sensation was unlike anything she'd ever experienced, as if she were holding the weight of a star in her palms, reality itself bending around her fingers. The enemy ships detected the energy buildup and began evasive maneuvers. Too late. Maya released the singularity, watching as it shot toward the center of their formation. When it detonated, there was no explosion in the conventional sense, just a sphere of absolute darkness that briefly expanded, consuming the ships entirely before collapsing back into nothingness. Space returned to normal, empty save for scattered debris. Maya hung in the void, momentarily exhausted by the effort. Atlas had handled most of the technical aspects, but the mental strain of directing such power took its toll. Returning to station advised. Power reserves at 63%. Maya turned back toward Nexus Station, its familiar silhouette backlit by the gas giant beyond. As she approached, she could see the damage from the attack. Blackened sections where weapons had penetrated the shields, emergency crews visible through breached areas now sealed with force fields. The same airlock she'd left through opened to readmit her. Inside, a full security detail waited, weapons trained on her. Behind them stood Director Helix, Ambassador Kolvac, and representatives from every major species on the station. Maya deactivated the helmet, allowing it to retract and reveal her face. "The immediate threat has been neutralized," she reported formally. "Though I suspect there will be more. We witnessed everything through the external cameras," Director Helix said, his gaseous form swirling contemplatively. "Most impressive and concerning. The human wields power that no single being should possess," Ambassador Kolvac declared, scales flushed dark with emotion. "Demand the suit's surrender." Maya felt Atlas's presence in her mind, alert but not hostile. "As I explained earlier, Ambassador, separation isn't possible yet. But I assure you, I have no intention of misusing this technology. Your intentions are irrelevant, the Draconid countered. Such power disrupts the careful balance between our species. Tick-Tick stepped forward, compound eyes reflecting the emergency lighting. Observation. Commander Chen utilized the weapon against mutual enemies, not Concordat members. Actions demonstrate restraint, not aggression. The debate might have continued, but IDA interrupted. Director, deep space sensors are detecting additional vessels. Signature matching attack craft. Estimated arrival. 6 hours. Director Helix's platform hummed as he processed this information. It seems our reprieve will be brief. Commander Chen, we require additional information immediately. What exactly are we facing? Maya relayed what Atlas had told her about the Voidborn and the ancient conflict between the predecessors and the opposition. The assembled representatives listened with growing concern. You're suggesting that an ancient war has reignited, with us caught in the middle? Dr. Valak asked, 4 arms clasped tightly against her torso. I don't think it ever truly ended, Maya said. Both sides created contingencies that have apparently been dormant until now. Ambassador Kolvak's tail lashed angrily. Convenient timing. Perhaps the appearance of this suit was engineered to draw us into a conflict not of our making. If you're implying I'm somehow complicit, Maya began, but Director Helix intervened. Recriminations are pointless. We face a clear and present danger. His hover platform rose slightly, the traditional signal that he was speaking with full authority. I am declaring emergency protocols. All non-essential personnel will evacuate to Theta Persei IV's orbital platform. Essential staff will remain to coordinate defense. And what of Commander Chen? Ambassador Kolvak demanded. All eyes turned to Maya. She felt the weight of their stares, suspicion, fear, and desperate hope all mixed together. I fought to protect this station once, she said quietly. I'll do it again. Perhaps, Director Helix acknowledged. But the larger question remains. This technology has chosen you, but what will you choose to do with it? It was the question that had been haunting Maya since the moment Atlas had bonded with her. The power she now commanded could shift the balance of the entire Concordat, or destroy it entirely. Atlas, she said aloud, can you project yourself visually? I think it's time everyone met you properly. Holographic interface available. Activating. A figure materialized beside Maya, humanoid but clearly artificial, composed of the same shifting patterns as the suit itself. It stood at perfect attention, neither male nor female in appearance. Greetings, sentients of the Concordat. I am Atlas, Sentinel Interface Unit, created by those you call predecessors. The assembled aliens reacted with varying degrees of shock and fascination. For most, this was the first direct interaction with predecessor technology that didn't involve death or destruction. Why has your technology chosen a human? Director Helix asked directly. The predecessors recognized their civilization was ending. Atlas explained, its voice resonating with harmonic tones. They seeded compatible neural patterns across multiple developing species before their extinction. Humans carry one such pattern, though they are not the only potential inheritors. This revelation sent a murmur through the gathered representatives. What was your purpose? Dr. Valak asked, scientific curiosity overcoming fear. The Sentinel program was created to guide and protect developing civilizations from opposition influence. Atlas replied, we were guardians, not conquerors. Ambassador Kolvak stepped forward, impressive in his controlled aggression. And now that you have awakened, what are your intentions toward the Concordat? I have no predetermined directive regarding your alliance, Atlas said. My primary function is to serve my inheritor and carry out the predecessor mandate of protection against opposition forces. So you will follow Commander Chen's orders, the Draconid pressed. Within ethical parameters, yes. The bond between Sentinel and inheritor is symbiotic, not master and slave. Maya felt the dynamics in the room shifting. The fact that HFY had limitations, that it wouldn't simply obey her unconditionally, seemed to ease some of the tension. "The approaching vessels," Director Helix said. "What can you tell us about them?" "They are void-born vessels, biological mechanical hybrids controlled by opposition remnant programming," Atlas explained. "They seek to eliminate Sentinel technology and subjugate developing species. Their numbers were thought depleted, but it appears they have been rebuilding in secret." "How many?" Maya asked. "Unknown. Historical records suggest opposition forces practiced distributed consciousness across multiple vessels. Destroying individual ships provides only temporary setbacks." This wasn't what anyone wanted to hear. Maya could see the calculation in Director Helix's swirling form. The station couldn't withstand a prolonged siege, even with her help. "We need to take the fight to them," she said finally. "Find their base of operations and end this permanently." "Impossible," Ambassador Kolvac rumbled. "We don't know where they're coming from." "Actually," Maya said, "an idea forming. I think we do." "Atlas, the ships we destroyed, could you track their trajectory backwards? Find their point of origin?" "Analyzing combat data. Trajectory reconstruction possible. Calculating now." A holographic star map appeared in the center of the room, zooming out from their current location before highlighting a point in deep space, far from any chartered system. "There," Maya said. "That's where they're coming from." "Even if you're correct," Director Helix pointed out, "that location is beyond reach of any Concordat vessel within the necessary time frame." Maya looked down at the suit, feeling its power humming beneath her fingertips. "I don't need a vessel. Atlas, can we reach that location?" "Affirmative. Fold space capability available at current power levels. Transit time, approximately 47 minutes. The implications weren't lost on anyone in the room. The suit possessed faster-than-light technology far beyond current Concordat capabilities. "You cannot seriously be considering assaulting an enemy stronghold alone," Dr. Valak said, concern evident in her large eyes. "Not alone," Maya corrected. "With Atlas. This is precisely why such power cannot remain in any individual's hands," Ambassador Kolvac declared. "You make unilateral decisions affecting all Concordat species." Maya felt her patience reaching its limit. "With respect, Ambassador, we don't have time for a committee debate. Those ships will arrive in less than 6 hours. The station's defenses cannot repel them. I have the means to potentially stop this threat at its source." "She's right," came an unexpected voice. A Tellarite representative stepped forward, their crystalline form catching the light. "The Concordat has always valued decisive action in defense of our shared interests. Commander Chen has demonstrated her willingness to risk herself for our safety." Others began to voice support, though Ambassador Kolvac and several others remained opposed. Director Helix listened to all views before raising his hover platform to signal his decision. "Commander Chen, the Concordat cannot officially sanction what would essentially be a solo military operation into unknown territory." He paused, gas forms swirling more rapidly. "However, as you remain unable to separate from the Sentinel technology, and as the evacuation will require all available transport vessels, I cannot prevent you from taking independent action." It was as close to approval as Maya could hope for under the circumstances. "I understand, Director. For the record, I act now as Maya Chen, not as Earth's representative to the Concordat." "A meaningless distinction," Ambassador Kolvac grumbled, but did not further object. Maya turned to Dr. Valak. "Doctor, I'd appreciate any data you can give me about what we might be facing, based on the opposition artifacts you've studied." The four-armed tenorchiologist nodded eagerly. "Of course, I'll transmit everything to your suit's systems immediately." Preparations were made quickly. Within an hour, Maya stood in an external airlock, ready to depart. Director Helix had come personally to see her off. "Commander Chen," he said, his translated voice solemn, "regardless of the outcome, know that your actions today will be remembered." "Hopefully for the right reasons," Maya replied with a grim smile. Start the evacuation immediately. Don't wait to see if I succeed. We will be ready for any eventuality, the director assured her. Good hunting. The outer door opened, and once again Maya found herself in the void of space. This time, however, she wasn't fighting for survival. She was taking the fight to the enemy. Atlas, are you ready? All systems nominal. Fold space coordinates locked. Awaiting your command. Maya took one last look at Nexus Station, wondering if she would ever see it again. Then she turned toward the distant stars. Let's finish this. The suit's energy built around her, forming a cocoon of brilliance that distorted space itself. There was a moment of disorientation as reality seemed to fold inward, compressing to a single point, and then expanding again as she emerged into unknown space. Before her floated a massive structure unlike anything in Concordat records. It resembled a black spider web spun between asteroids, pulsing with the same sickly green energy she had seen in the attack ship's weapons. Opposition command node identified. Defenses activating. Throughout the structure, Maya could see ships similar to those that had attacked the station beginning to launch. Dozens of them, then hundreds, far more than she could hope to defeat in direct combat. Atlas, we need another approach. What's the central control system for this entire structure? Calculating. Analysis indicates primary control functions housed in central node. Direct assault inadvisable. Defense concentration exceeds offensive capabilities. Maya studied the structure, noting the energy flows, the movement patterns of the defensive ships. There's always a weakness. What about the power source? Atlas highlighted a section of the structure where energy signatures were most concentrated. Power distribution network vulnerable at 3 junction points. Simultaneous disruption would cause catastrophic cascade failure. Show me. 3 points on the structure illuminated in her tactical display. The problem was clear. They were widely separated, each heavily defended. There was no way to strike all 3 simultaneously. Unless, Atlas, the singularity weapon we used earlier, can it be modified? Split into multiple targeted charges. Modification possible but untested. Significant risk to system stability. Right now our survival probability is what exactly? Current tactical assessment indicates 12.7% survival probability via conventional approach. And with the modified singularity charges, theoretical improvement to 31.4%, contingent on precise deployment and timing. I'll take those odds. Begin modifications. As Atlas reconfigured the weapon systems, the first wave of opposition vessels detected her presence. Energy weapons lanced through space toward her position. Maya dodged and weaved, returning fire only when necessary to clear a path. Her goal wasn't to defeat these ships. It was to reach the first junction point. The modified singularity weapon formed in her hands, no longer a single sphere of compressed gravity, but 3 smaller versions connected by threads of energy. Each required precise placement and activation. Maya accelerated toward the first junction, breaking through the defensive screen with a burst of speed that left pursuing vessels temporarily behind. She placed the first charge, embedding it into the structure itself. First charge deployed. Junction 2 requires immediate attention. Opposition vessels converging on your position. Pain lanced through her shoulder as a glancing hit penetrated Atlas's defenses. The suit automatically sealed the breach, administering something that numbed the area. But Maya knew she was pushing her limits. The second junction was more heavily defended. Maya had to fight through multiple layers of automated weapons and interceptor drones. By the time she placed the second charge, warning signals flashed throughout the suit's systems. Power reserves at 42%. Defensive capabilities degraded. Multiple breaches detected. Just one more. Maya gritted through clenched teeth. The third junction lay at the heart of the opposition's defenses, surrounded by concentrated fire platforms and what appeared to be automated repair systems. The swarm of vessels behind her had grown. They weren't trying to destroy her anymore. They were hurting her, preventing her from reaching the final target. At last displayed probability calculations that grew more dismal by the second. Maya closed her eyes briefly, focusing on what she learned about the suit's capabilities. There was one option she hadn't tried yet. Risky, but potentially effective. Atlas, can we create a decoy? Something to draw their fire while I place the final charge. Holographic projection possible, but limited duration. Power allocation required from defensive systems. Do it. Energy shimmered around her, coalescing into an exact duplicate of her suited form. The decoy shot off in one direction while Maya veered toward the third junction. The opposition forces split their attention, many pursuing the more visible target. Maya approached the final junction from below, using the structure itself as cover. Opposition sensors swept the area, but Atlas masked her energy signature, rendering her temporarily invisible to conventional detection. The third charge slid into place alongside the power conduits. Maya activated the sequence, feeling the gravitational distortion begin to build within all three devices simultaneously. Singularity cascade initiating. Recommended safe distance, minimum 30,000 kilometers. Current escape window, 47 seconds. Then let's not waste time. Maya pushed away from the structure, accelerating to maximum velocity. Behind her, the opposition forces realized too late what was happening. Their ships converged on the junction points, attempting to disarm the charges. Detonation imminent. Current distance insufficient for safety parameters. Just keep going. The first singularity detonated, creating a sphere of absolute darkness that consumed a portion of the structure. The second followed moments later, the gravitational distortion beginning to tear the web-like construction apart. Opposition ships caught in the effect were stretched and compressed until they simply ceased to exist. The third and final charge detonated just as Maya reached what Atlas had calculated as the minimum survivable distance. The gravitational wave hit her like a physical blow, sending her tumbling through space as the suit's systems struggled to compensate. Behind her, the entire opposition structure collapsed inward, consumed by the overlapping singularities. The few ships that had escaped the initial effect were drawn back into the growing gravity well, unable to break free. Maya watched as the darkness expanded one final time before collapsing completely, leaving nothing but empty space where the massive installation had been. Threat eliminated. Power reserves critical. Entering emergency conservation mode. The suit's enhanced functions began shutting down one by one, leaving only basic life support active. Maya drifted in space, too exhausted to even attempt navigation. Her last conscious thought before the emergency hibernation protocol engaged was that she had no way back to Nexus Station, and no way to know if her actions had saved it. Maya awoke to the sound of voices, human and alien, speaking in hushed tones nearby. She opened her eyes to find herself in the medical bay of what appeared to be a Concordat vessel. The suit had retracted to a more compact form, revealing the medical sensors attached to her body. "The hero awakens," came a familiar rumbling voice. Ambassador Kovac stood at the foot of her bed, massive scaled form, somehow less intimidating in the sterile medical environment. "How?" Maya began, her voice rough from disuse. "You've been unconscious for 6 days," explained Dr. Valak, moving into view with a medical scanner in one of her 4 hands. "We nearly gave you up for lost when Atlas activated an emergency beacon." Maya tried to sit up, wincing at the pain in her shoulder and sighed. "The station is everyone. Nexus Station is secure," confirmed Director Helix, his hover platform gliding into the room. The evacuation proceeded as planned, but proved unnecessary. No additional opposition forces appeared after you destroyed their command node. Relief washed over Maya. "How did you find me?" "I was light years away." "Your suit," Dr. Valak explained excitedly. "When its power reserves reached critical levels, it activated some kind of fold space beacon. Our sensors detected the signal and triangulated your position. The Concordat Council has been in emergency session since the incident," Director Helix continued, his gaseous form swirling thoughtfully. Your actions have precipitated quite the diplomatic situation. Maya tensed. Am I under arrest? To her surprise, Ambassador Kolvac made a sound that his translator rendered as laughter. Quite the opposite, Commander. You are being hailed throughout Concordat space as the savior of Nexus Station. Not universally, Director Helix cautioned. Many remain concerned about the power you, and by extension, humanity, now wield. But none can deny that you use that power to protect all species, not just your own. Maya looked down at her arms, where the suit had retracted to form what looked like ornate bracers. Atlas, are you still there? Functionality restored to 76%. Bond stabilized. Greetings, Inheritor. The suit's AI appears fully integrated with your neural patterns now, Dr. Valak observed, studying her scanner readings with all four eyes widened in fascination. The separation protocol should be available, if you wish to remove it. Maya considered this. The power Atlas represented was indeed dangerous, perhaps too dangerous for any single being to wield. And yet, the opposition, she said instead. Are they truly gone? Negative. Command node destroyed, but opposition presence detected in multiple sectors beyond Concordat space. Current threat assessment. Dormant but persistent. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. So this isn't over, Maya concluded. Which brings us to the Council's decision. Director Helix said, You have been offered a new position, Commander Chen. Special Envoy to the Concordat, with authority to investigate and respond to potential opposition threats throughout our territory. With supervision, of course, Ambassador Kolvac added, though his tone lacked its former hostility. A multi-species oversight committee will be established. Maya looked at each of them in turn. The gaseous Jovian director, the massive reptilian ambassador, the four-armed synorchaeologist. Different species, different perspectives, all now depending on her and the ancient technology she carried. I accept, she said finally, on one condition. Atlas isn't just a weapon or a tool. Any oversight committee needs to recognize that this is a partnership, not ownership. Acceptable terms. Predecessor protocols permit cooperative security arrangements with established civilizations. Director Helix's form brightened, the equivalent of a smile. I believe those terms can be accommodated. Rest now, Commander. There will be time enough to discuss the details once you've recovered. As they left her to rest, Maya looked out the viewport at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, ancient forces still moved in the darkness between worlds. The opposition had been dealt a blow, but not defeated, and the predecessors, through Atlas, had chosen humanity to stand against them. We've got our work cut out for us, haven't we? She murmured. Indeed, Inheritor. But preliminary analysis suggests our probability of success is promising. Maya smiled. For the first time since the suit had bonded with her, she felt not just the burden of its power, but also the promise of what they could accomplish together. The galaxy had changed forever, and humanity, for better or worse, would never be the same. The end.